is a very important thing in coffee. It is probably more important than your actual coffee beans. I'm putting a lot of faith in this grinder. Don't think of it more so like a hand grinder. Think about this as the solution to your, this is the reason why this is critical in our arsenal, the grinder, because I was hating coffee. Hey, we live right now. This is going to be, I think, an interesting one. In this case, we are actually talking about grinders. I will put his message link on the screen, but one guy did challenge me, which was really cool. So he just made a bad cup of coffee and he just moved on. Yeah, it was. This was an unboxing. Nothing's really planned or rehearsed. I try to do these unfiltered, as raw as possible when I'm doing my videos. Sometimes I do play around with the idea concept a little bit beforehand. But for the most part, as you saw, that was the first time I opened the box. But it was still bringing up a really good point, you know? You didn't really put these grinders to its paces. When I did that actual video, that was about a month and a half ago. And I put these grinders to its paces, sort of. This right here is a Ken grinder. This is the top of the line one right here. So we get that focus in. This is a grinder. You can see that it's actually a lot bigger compared to the Ken grinder K2 version. And that's fine. These are bird grinders. They're conical, so they're shaped like as a, let me show you if you can see it here. It's kind of concave inside. You can't really see that inside, but you get the point. It's a grinder. It's something that is a very important thing in coffee. It is probably more important than your actual coffee beans. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the coffee beans are important. That's where you find the joy and love and addiction in coffee, right? Because you get to taste different coffees and all that good stuff. However, if you don't have the right grinder, and quite frankly, if you don't know how to use it, then that's when you're going to start to not really think that your coffee is the best that it is. See, here's the thing about that. I've been testing out this coffee. It's Ethiopian coffee. I have some other coffees I'm going to try with this grinder. And I will mention the EK43. It's a very expensive grinder. It's out of many people's price range. It's not practical for daily use. That's a commercial grinder. This right here, this grinder right here is $80. $70, $80. You can probably get it cheaper on Black Friday by $10 or so. This one right here is $130. I got it on Amazon Business for $100, $30 coupon. You can try that hack if you want to try to get this as cheaply as possible, but I'm sure this goes on sale from time to time. Okay, you don't have to get both either. Depending on what you do, you get the grinder that makes sense to you. Okay, I got this one, the K2, which I still mostly use for my pour over coffee, and then the K6 I use for espresso. Okay, and don't get me wrong, even when I'm doing a medium roast coffee like the Ethiopian, the first pour that I did on that one came out great. It was amazing. It was still difficult a little bit to actually grind the coffee. They do have where you can actually, it has a hex nut or whatnot that you can actually use in order to use a power tool. But I don't do espresso all the time. I do espresso probably 2 times a month, sometimes 3 if I'm really feeling it. So me grinding coffee a couple times isn't that bad. But this literally replaced my other grinder. And this is the reason why grinders are extremely important. It gives you that real sense of knowing and understanding what the coffee truly really is. For instance, when I was on my old grinder, although the burrs probably did need to be cleaned, didn't need to be replaced, the coffee was tasting muddy, so to speak. I tasted the coffee, but it was very, what I mean by muddy, because everybody has different opinions about what muddy is that muddy to me means it's kind of hard to decipher what you're really tasting. Everything's all together, it's homogeneous. So it's hard for you to decipher exactly what you're tasting. With this grinder in particular, probably yes, because it's brand new, I get that too, is that I can taste the different elements and the intricacies of the coffee as an espresso. An espresso hits you hard, it's really intense. So I believe it's imperative that we get the right tools for the job. And again, why would you buy 2 grinders? You can. I mean, if you do, then you're in a good place. If you don't want to, you could probably just get this one if you do espresso and pour over. But truthfully, I'm kind of lazy. I don't like to mess around with my burr sets too much the way it is right now. So if I do use a coffee, all I have to do is change a couple clicks here and there for the espresso. Same thing for the pour over. I really don't play around with the settings that much. It's a lot relatively finer than what I started off with when I did that initial introduction to the King grinder to myself and to you as we were experiencing it together. But it's a lot finer compared to what I was doing before in order to extract that coffee. But I probably do 3 to 4 clicks one way or the other way. I guess what I'm really saying here is that these grinders work really well. And let's just take this one out for instance. Let's take this one out, and now we have this one. Let's just say that you're just impatient like me and you just pay it full price. This is $80. Okay, $80 for this grinder. Think about that. $80 to have a really, really good grinder. I don't know the details or the things that you can do if you want to change the burr set to a newer one after a year or so, because burr sets do go bad after a while. You use it all the time, especially like a lot of people that I see and know, they use this grinder every time. I use it daily, at least 4 to 5 times a week. And then I'll switch off to the Baratza just because I just want a cup of coffee. That has its place too. But that grinder, worst case scenario, is about $200, $250 US dollars. You can go ahead and get the Encore, less bells and whistles, about $150. But which one is better? I do really think that this is better. Trust me, I am not on this whole hype train of hand grinders. I actually like the ease of just pushing a button and going on my day. I like the fact that when I did get that Baratza, that I can do that. I actually had the EK43. I took it, put it in a garage, more for my commercial use, because I like how convenient and easy it is to actually just push a button, change the dials here and there, and get mostly a decent cup of coffee. But some odd reason, when you go down this rabbit hole and you start reading and start watching other things and experiencing things for what they are, you're always curious to see if there is something better. We all do that. No matter what vice that we have that we like, we're always seeing if we can get something better. And one of my intentions was to get the $300 German Calimente, I don't know what it's called, grinder too, but I didn't. I don't think I need to, just because this works really well. This gives me a good sense of what I'm doing with my coffee. It gives me an understanding of like, is it the coffee? Is it me? Is it my technique? It actually pulls itself out of the situation to the point to where I am looking objectively at that coffee. I'm thinking about my techniques. I'm thinking about the way I'm pouring. I'm thinking about other things that it's not so much the grinder. I mean, don't get me wrong. For instance, I went ahead and made a cup of coffee from the Ethiopian that I'm playing around with, testing and doing various experiments with. Really, I'm just drinking coffee. But I guess what I'm saying is that when I did that cup of coffee, I used a fast filter, and that's a discussion for another day. I'm on the fence with those. I think they work really well with dark roast, but we will still test them out and we'll go from there. When I brew that cup of coffee without the TDS meter, without me knowing the actual degree of what that coffee is, it seemed like it was extremely severely under extracted for my experience, for my taste buds. So yes, the grinder did play a part of it, but then again, I know it was partly that filter. So I will probably just use a regular filter, probably do the exact same recipe, and then see what the coffee tastes like, and then adjust from there. I guess what I'm saying here is that this right here takes a lot of variables out of the equations to the point to where you know that when you have a cup of coffee or a bag of coffee, that you're gonna probably be able to present the coffee in the best light as you can. And that's all we're really trying to do here. That's all I'm really trying to give you back to get you to understand where I'm at with all this. And like I said, this is pretty cool that we are here right now trying to really understand coffee the way it is. This is the reason why this is critical in our arsenal, the grinder. Because I was hating coffee for a while, as you can see in some of my posts, my YouTube videos and all that, and me just talking about it in general, is that I was really kind of mostly hating coffee. And I think that was partly because it was a grinder. Again, my grinder is relatively new. I changed the burr sets not too long ago. So I knew it wasn't so much that particular grinder, and I kept beating up on the coffee. And don't get me wrong, I've put like my Brazilian coffee in this and some other coffees that I was on the fence about, and it still revealed the whole fact that that coffee is what it is. It doesn't really well work or gel with the things that I'm trying to do. Okay. But that's the cool thing about it. Now that I'm not so much really second guessing myself, I know that that coffee is presented in a way to where it does what it needs to. So yeah, I don't know about you, but I think this is critical. And I'm not trying to make you wanting to spend money. But I mean, you buy beans every week, right? So you're spending money on coffee regardless. And at times we buy gear, we buy different coffee makers, we buy mugs, we buy whatever else we can justify buying. I guess really what I'm saying here is that it's okay to spend, this is $80. And if you mostly do pour overs or percolator or French press, this works really, really well. And I don't think that you're going to be in a better place. I mean, bad light of, I don't think you're going to be in a better, you're not going to be worse off. You're going to be in a better place if you go ahead and go this route. And like I said, let me show you before I leave off today is that it's really not that hard. I know I'm a big guy. It looks like I work out. I do, but it's really not that bad of actually grinding a coffee. So let's go ahead and get some coffee and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's kind of fitting because I'm actually, after I'm done talking to you, I'm gonna make me a cup of coffee on the Harvey V60 switch. So just hold the handle. I'm going to leave the same setting as I said before and just play around with the filter. See, look, it's not that bad. You count it out too. I'm not editing this, not much really. You can do a timer on here. This is about 20 grams of coffee. There we go. I always like to tap it just to make sure all the grounds are mostly off the top of the thing. I'll show you what I mean by that. See over here, just making sure that the grounds are off. This is how you adjust it. But again, I barely adjust it. I mean, coffee. Don't go wrong with coffee smelling good. Okay. We're going to zoom in to all of this so you can see it a little bit better. So yeah, that's the coffee. There's still some in here, but I don't need to pour out the whole thing. But let's see if I can get this to focus here. Let me see. Okay, I can't really focus. It loves to focus on me. So I'll see if I can put my head right there and zoom in. But just looking at the grounds right now, look evenly distributed, grinded pretty well. And this is the coffee from this. And again, I understand if you don't want to do this. And the reason why I'm bringing these up in particular is because these are still relatively cheap. Don't think of it more so like a hand grinder. Think about this as the solution to your problems if you have any problems or problems that you may have in the future, because you will have problems if you don't have the right grinder. And you don't have to spend $300-400 on an electric grinder, even though it is of ease of use to just push the button and everything. And if you want to do that, go ahead and do that. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just looking at this more in a place to where we know we're going to spend money on our coffee gear, gadgets, and all that stuff, right? So if it's in this case, let's go ahead and thinking about this of cheaply as possible, but the biggest bang for the buck. That's where I'm getting at. That's where I'm wanting you to think about this a little bit more. So this is it. This is what I got for you. I look forward to talking to you all the time. And as we do these, let me know if there's anything else that you would like me to talk about, things that you're curious about, even things that you think that you will want to buy, but you don't want to buy, and that I may just buy, and I may do an experiment or something to help you to get off that fence of if you should buy it or you shouldn't. So yeah. And then here's the other thing before we leave off is that I do have a confession. This coffee is an Ethiopian coffee. I think I talked about it last time or whatnot, but I'm putting a lot of care. I don't think care is the right word. I'm putting a lot of focus into this coffee, or faith into this coffee. And especially now that I have this grinder, I wonder if coffee can really truly ever be tasty again. It tastes fine, but can it be better? I'm just talking about, relatively speaking, on my own journey with coffee and how I tasted it before and how I know that it's amazing. It can be amazing. And there's a lot of things that I'm thinking about right now on that front, but I'm putting a lot of faith in this grinder, and hopefully it comes through. Hopefully we'll see where it goes. But at the end of the day, we're going to see if coffee can really taste better. If you have other coffees or things that you're thinking about, what you're actually tasting is great, it's magical, let me know about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm willing to try different things, but I'm a roaster too, so I'm kind of apprehensive of trying other things, especially from other roasters. But don't get me wrong, I will try it. I will see other things out there. I have tried other things, and lately what I've noticed is that even going to coffee shops, the coffees are just okay, and they have to be, right? Because they have to appeal to a lot of people, especially when you do not just drink it black, you drink it with other additives, which there's no problem with that, but it has to be very thought worthy. It has to be provoking. And I think there's a place, I think you can push the boundaries of what people are tasting. But I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. Just shooting the shit with you. We'll see how this goes, and then we'll go from there. But that's what I got for you today. I'll talk to you later. Bye. This hand. I think I do mostly the right hand. It's kind of weird. We live right now. Bye.